Justice League 41, which is obviously Christopher Priest and Phil Briones on the art. The Watchtower has landed in Africa, notable because Priest wanting to use some of his Deathstroke stuff. Basically, Red Lion jumps in.
Right, I'm going to start with the highlight of the issue. Is that it opens with Baz still going on about this bloody lunch.
Oh yeah, fantastic. So here's the thing. I think the end of this page, the end of this scene, is hilarious. I don't like what it means about something that already happened.
I agree, because we were speculating, like, right, okay.
Yeah, so I still think there has to be a cause. Like, it feels so out of character for Jessica to have kissed Batman. However, Baz saying, I want something to take my mind off this, and then Jessica going, I kissed Batman, and him being like, what? Like, that is hilarious. That is.
It is.
If we had, like, a better context for why it happened, like I don't know, this would be great, and I'd be along for the joke. But right now, all I can think of is, why did she kiss Batman? It's so out of character for her.
It is. I don't get it.
And it was such a weird moment at the time. So I still think there's going to be a reveal of some kind that explains why. Like, I think he's intentionally, like, I think Priest is intentionally prodding us here, being like, hey, you don't know what's happening yet.
Yeah, but it kind of feels a bit like, I know I don't know what's happening. Bloody tell me.
I know, but it's annoying because it feels wrong.
It does.
And I know Priest likes to do that. It's kind of annoying sometimes, though.
Most times I'm okay, because most time it's a mystery where it doesn't feel like something's wrong, but it's a mystery, right? There's a question I want answered. Whereas this is like, no, this just isn't right. This needs fixing, not just answering.
Yeah. But the main thing is that the Watchtower's in Africa, and some of the League, Flash, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Batman? No, Superman, not Batman. Yeah, they're there, and they're kind of dealing with it, and there's like a civil war going on, and they're basically these bad guys want to shoot all these refugees, but the refugees all went to the Watchtower because, like, okay, the Justice League won't let anything happen there. But then they're just like, no, we can't interfere with all this. But yeah, this zone's safe while we're here. And then Wonder Woman's like, yeah, but like, if this was like somewhere else, like, we're not interfering because the government of this country will see it as like an infringement of their, their rules. But if this was in, a stadium in Metropolis, we wouldn't even second guess like jumping in to save these people from being shot. Surely there's a line here that we should be crossing, given what's happening. And honestly, it's someone who, like, I think if a government's awful enough that it's letting people being shot, innocent people be killed, I think they should probably intervene with that. That's probably my stance.
They probably should, but like, that's the thing. It's like, okay, that's an international incident then.
Yeah.
Okay, there's diplomacy and all these things for a reason, and if they go and upset all that just because they can, where's the line then, right? It's okay if they're willing to make the call themselves now, when do they stop making the call? I
think you just define the rules in another way. You don't necessarily define them by what is crossing a a political line. You define them by what do you intervene for, and I think that's when they say no. It doesn't matter what country it is, but if you're firing on civilians, we're stepping in and we're stopping that. We're not letting that. We're essentially saying, no, we're policing the planet as far as that's concerned. So
right, okay, but
not
here's
happening.
the thing: to play the devil's advocate here.
Go on.
If they're going to step in and stop them being shot, and let's say this dictator is just going to kill them again, right? They go away, give it 3 days. Should they just remove him from office? And if so, which is a valid, maybe they should. At what point is it right? Okay, is this fascism because they're doing their own thing? They're the ones controlling.
No, because you're taking this leap where you're saying, oh, they should go and remove him from office. No. They just look at this guy in the face and say, no, you can't do that.
Right. Okay, but what about when they go and then he just kills them anyway? That's my point.
Well, then they have to come back and deal with that.
Right,
then, I guess.
That's my point though as well. Like they can save them here and now today. They can jump in front of the bullets. They can get them out of the way, but that doesn't solve the problem. If the head of state wants to kill them, as soon as they leave the country, the head of state is going to kill them. So if they're going to save them, should they not remove the dictator?
I guess my answer to that is to have a constant presence of some kind as a deterrent.
Is that feasible, though, for the Justice League?
To have one or two people there, some B-listers around, as a constant presence, maybe. Take shifts. You got boom tubes.
That's fair, but I mean that's fine when it's just one country. But
look, I'm not saying there's not complexities there.
no,
but,
no, I'm just saying I think that's the point of this. Is why I'm getting
yeah.
into it. It's like that's the whole point. Is that that's why they don't cross the line, because if they do it once, then it's okay. But how far do we go? When do we? All right, we should remove this person from office. When do we say, right? No, we're taking control of this government and we're putting someone else in.
Well, because I don't think they would ever get involved, or they shouldn't ever get involved on who's in power. I think it's just a quite a simple thing where they don't operate as a government. They're not. They're not. As much as we associate them with the U.S., they're not part of the U.S. They operate purely on a moral basis of there's certain things we're just not letting happen.
Right.
And most reasonable people will not, fight with the fact that shooting on innocent civilians is something that they should not be letting happen. So that's
I agree with that.
That is the idealistic viewpoint I'm taking here. Is there weird complexities that come from that? Sure, but yeah.
I think that's kind of what the run like here is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Though, like that's why I'm having this discussion. Is like, okay, it wants you to think, okay, but where's that line? Okay, if they do this, then what? And how long can it go on before that? Because that's kind of the whole point. The US is saying to them, hey, you don't have any jurisdiction here. How do we know what's going on? And
didn't have jurisdiction there either when they started.
Right, exactly. But the point is that, okay, they've kind of wormed themselves into the US, right? In that sense of like they're accepted. But now the government and the media is questioning, should they be?
They need to train a few superheroes that are locals.
Yeah?
Any local metas, right? You're in training.
So hang on. What you're doing here is starting a guerrilla resistance.
Oh, shut up, right? Look, they are superheroes. They see things that shouldn't be happening, and they swoop in and they save the day. They make it clear that they won't let that happen anymore, and they keep showing up. They make a point of it. They say, look, every time you try and do these bad things, we're going to keep being here. We're going to make sure you can... It's kind of like how when Lex Luthor was president, the whole idea is you've got the Superman looking over his shoulder to make sure he's not doing anything too shady.
I agree with your idealistic here.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's not... You're using superheroes here instead, but it's not that different to the US government going and saying, right, okay, here's some rebels. We're gonna support you, and you can do it yourselves, but we'll just support you. It's not that different to that.
Look, if they already have a superhero of their own, if someone rises up in this country in Africa, right, and they become a hero, and then the Justice League says, hey, do you want to be, like, just not trained in terms of combat, I mean, maybe, but just, like, okay, do you want advice as to how to go about this, because we already did this elsewhere?
Okay.
Because Justice League is not affiliated with a country.
It is not.
Right? They are the Justice League for the world.
Yes.
Therefore, there is nothing wrong with this.
Do you know what? I just want to say at this point, this is probably the best thing about this run, that it's actually having this. That's the debate of this run, right?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, though, to kind of like just go back round to the point, is that the whole point of superheroes, the whole point of a vigilante in the first place, to boil it down to Batman, is that he operates outside the law. He has a higher set of rules for himself because he has to hold himself to a higher standard. That's why he doesn't kill and do other things. He doesn't have a problem with a police officer defending himself and shooting someone if the situation absolutely calls for it, right?
Yeah, he hates guns, but he's never told police officers not to carry them.
Yeah, he understands that Gordon needs one and that the situation may arise where he needs it, but he holds himself to a higher standard because he operates outside the system. He has to hold himself to a higher potential, to inspire, to be this thing, blah, 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 blah. To me, that kind of extends to all superheroes, as they hold themselves to a higher standard. They won't cross lines, they won't kill people, but they operate outside the rules. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So, I'm on Wonder Woman's side here, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Even though I understand Superman's point. But then, obviously, the big end of the issue is that a bullet ricochets off Superman and goes into Wonder Woman, and she's down.
Yeah. Looks pretty rough.
Does look pretty rough. So, to be honest, I thought it was a weird part in this issue where Aquaman's like checking out, like Batman and Aquaman are checking out various people who help build the Watchtower to see if that's the fan, right? And Aquaman's like in like, you know, covert gear, and he's snuck into this bedroom and he's looking at all these things, and this guy's like a
cardboard Wonder Woman cut out, life size.
This guy's like a pure Justice League, like, you know, fanboy, and it felt so weird for Aquaman to be dressed like this that I thought it was the fan who just still had his Aquaman beard on.
I did too.
And it wasn't until he like contacted Batman and said, "No, it's not this guy." I'm like, "Oh, it's actually Aquaman." Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I guess it's more stealthy than as usual, but
yeah,
was the baseball cap necessary?
I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, I assumed it was the fan, and he just had parts of his Aquaman disguise still on.
Yeah, no, I got
but
that.
Hey ho, whatever. But yeah, and then Batman
gets to deal with it.
Yeah, Batman gets to deal with things. Yeah. Go on then. What is Batman doing?
So what I'm assuming is the fan shows up, and he's got like a bunch of like technology from all of them. He's got a weird combined look. Like he's got Baz's sort of mask and, you know, his green stripes. He's got a sort of Superman-esque logo.
Yeah, he's got like the shoulder pads are kind of Wonder Woman-y.
Yeah. The orange is kind of Aquaman's there.
Not that Wonder Woman has shoulder pads, but just the look of them, they look kind of like.
I think the knee guards, they look very Wonder Woman's.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You know, like the orange chainmail underneath is Aquaman there. So you can see all this mishmash. He kind of has this weird sort of Green Lantern ring. That kind of just shoots green electricity, right?
It's a whole thing. And he's basically, I'm the problem you can't solve. That's basically the whole thing. It's the thing he's been saying. And then of course, Redline puts his hand right through Cyborg and starts dragging him off. And that's kind of the issue. It was a fine. It is notable though that I've been finding that I've been putting these issues off a little bit more as we get into this run, this short run. Admittedly, we've got a few issues left, because it tends to be quite dense. It tends to be quite wordy, and I feel like in an effort to actually fit his entire thesis of Justice League into this run, it does feel a little bit rushed in some ways.
Yeah, I think his Deathstroke works because it's so spread out. Like, I get what he's doing. He takes his time, and there's a valid criticism that maybe he takes too long. But I think overall that's going to read much better in the long run as a story. This is his run on Deathstroke.
That still suffers from being a bit too dense at times and being a bit too complex for its own good. Just at least monthly. Maybe when it's in trade, it won't have that effect. But Justice League feels like this weird middle ground, and it's kind of what it's playing with is great, but it still sometimes feels like it's taking these little leaps.
It feels like he has a story for 30 issues of these themes that he wants to explore. And we're getting it in, like, what, 7 or 8?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I say, it's playing with some interesting things. And, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
The thing is, I really love the ideas of what it's doing.
Yeah.
And I love the character interactions. I think they have been legitimately fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just there's too much story for the amount of issues that he's got.